Before we get started, I have a quick favor. I've been self-funding the Finding Genius podcast for 5 years now. I've done over 3,000 episodes. And as you can see on YouTube, we're up over 1 million views on the channel, which is fantastic. The next thing I really want to push on is to get up to 10,000 subscribers. Because once we do, we'll be able to put a donate button and we'll be able to solicit donations to help keep the podcast running and to also get the Finding Genius Foundation moving along. We have a big project studying anxiety, depression, and PTSD and working on a product to help people overcome these problems because I've seen them explode recently after the last 2 years of the whole virus situation. So if you would, please subscribe to the podcast. That would help us tremendously. Give us a thumbs up and check in the description for Buy Me a Coffee. It's about $5. If you could buy me a coffee, I'd really appreciate it. It would help keep the channel going, and I love coffee. Thank you.
Forget frequently asked questions,
common sense, common knowledge, or Google.
How about advice from a real genius? 95% of people in any profession are good enough to be qualified and licensed. 5%
go above and beyond.
They become very good at what they do, but only
0.1%
are real geniuses. Richard Jacobs has made it his life's mission to find them for you. He hunts down and interviews geniuses in every field: sleep science, cancer, stem cells, ketogenic diets, and more. Here come the geniuses. This is the Finding Genius Podcast
with Richard Jacobs.
Hello, this is Richard Jacobs with the Finding Genius podcast. My guest today is Monica Cox. She's a woman that midlife professionals call when they've blown tens of thousands on fertility treatments and still have no baby as a result. So she essentially helps women that have quote unquote like tried everything in the fertility world and helps them get their body in a condition where they can have children's success. So good thing. Welcome, Monica. Thanks for coming.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I remember, well, now it's 24 years ago. My wife and I did some like fertility treatments, but they didn't work either. But thank God that we found a doctor that helped and, wasn't as involved or crazy as we thought. And I think my wife had like a progesterone deficit. So we had one doctor that suggested her to have a bit more of that. And then everything worked fine. So
yeah. Well, congratulations. Actually,
you do.
No, that's amazing to hear that story. And like you say, 24 years ago, that, that technology, the knowledge, all that. So I'm really happy for you that you found a doctor that knew, the basics, and that's amazing.
Yeah. So it's really cool you do. But let's talk about your background. How did you decide to work in this area of fertility?
Similar to you guys, I had my own story. I was 27. I was fit, healthy. There seems to be nothing wrong, no diagnosis. And for 3 years, they were just like, well, you have unexplained infertility, just go do IVF. And because I didn't really have any knowledge, I was like, okay, I'll just try IVF and, that will give us our baby. And it was a shambles. It really exposed that we had, I had low egg quality. It's one of the only ways to really diagnose that. And they told me, well, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't improve egg quality. So just keep trying IVF again and, fingers crossed for that golden egg.
What did they tell you that was the issue?
There was no issue. Well, the egg quality. After the IVF, they said it was my egg quality because my husband's sperm was fine. We made low grade embryos. So they were like, well, it's your issue. You have low egg quality and there's nothing you can do about it. So just keep trying IVF.
Okay. I mean, this doesn't sound like a direct diagnosis. It's like, well, we only know it could be a few things. So we're like, oh, it must be you.
Yes, basically. And it just didn't sit right with me. It just didn't make sense at 30 years old that I couldn't do anything to improve my situation. So I just didn't take their advice and we didn't do another round of IVF until I started looking into holistic things on a recommendation from a friend. And he was like, well, just change your diet. And we just looked at him like he was crazy because we were fit and healthy according to all the doctors. And he was like, well, just let's be honest. You have gut health issues. You have IBS. You get tonsillitis every year. You have some health issues that could be related to fertility. And I was like, all right, I've tried IVF. That was crazy enough. So I'll try these diet and lifestyle changes. And I did it for a year and I saw amazing improvements. Just like everyone here on this podcast knows, you can do certain things to really, boost your health, but I still wasn't getting pregnant. So we went back and I saw a clinic because I intuitively knew that I had some kind of immune issue. I don't know how I knew it. I just knew I did because I wasn't having recurring miscarriages, and the literature at that time was like, well, if you're having recurring miscarriages, maybe your immune system is at play. Still very controversial. Some doctors don't even believe that this is a thing towards fertility.
Are you having miscarriages, or you weren't even getting that
No,
far?
I wasn't even getting pregnant. Like at this point, we were like 4 years in, and I had never seen a positive pregnancy test. So it seemed a little bit crazy. Like, okay, I'm not even having recurring miscarriages, but I just really, truly felt that that was my issue. So we went to this clinic, we asked for the testing, and the consulting doctor there said, well, you're not having recurring miscarriages. Don't do the testing. Just try IVF again. And so unfortunately, I listened, and we created better embryos. So I did, in fact, improve my egg quality. And with hindsight, knowing what I know now, it was down to cellular health. And if you have an autoimmune issue, you're going to have low cellular health, including in your fertility. It's all connected throughout your whole body.
And just so people know, I mean, IVF, I didn't go through it, my wife did, but it's no joke. Your hormones go all over the place. You got to get injections of heparin and all kinds of other stuff. And like, it really messes with your body. So I wonder that people even that have successful IVF, what are the long-term effects on their children that they produce from it, if they even do? Because you're getting a cocktail of drugs and all kinds of stuff. Again, mess with your cycle. Just has to have something.
Absolutely, Richard. I mean, you're talking about an issue that most people don't want to talk about. And there's never going to be studies around this. One, probably it's unethical, but the industry doesn't want to point out. But the observations that are already out there, you can Google this, you can look into it, that IVF babies are actually 30% more likely to be dealing with a whole host of issues, from low birth weights to food sensitivities to ADHD, autism. And like you say, it's not just the IVF. I really don't even believe it's the IVF. It's the woman's body who is, if you're not dealing with structural issues or genetic issues that functional medicine can't change, you're dealing with a cellular health issue. And if you're not addressing that cellular health issue to the best of your ability, and then going to use these technologies that bypass the body's innateness of saying, hey, like I barely have enough to keep you alive, I can't grow a human being right now, you're absolutely increasing the risks of issues, not only for yourself, but for your future children.
So what kind of things did you do to improve your health that led to a successful pregnancy?
Well, going back to my story, that round of IVF that I saw healthy embryos, I still didn't make it to day 28. And that was a real big blow because I was doing all the lifestyle stuff. I was doing the paleo diet. I was doing mindset. I was doing yoga. I stopped drinking, a lot of radical changes for me. And I still didn't see the success that I thought those changes were supposed to bring. And so it was a low point. I didn't think my body could do it, but I remembered, hey, what about that testing that you intuitively knew was your thing? Just go ask for it. It's your money. I don't even know why the doctors ever talk you out of spending your own money. And there it was. I still had high enough elevated natural killer cells to affect implantation during, IVF or naturally. And so for anyone listening who doesn't know what natural killer cells are, your body's natural defense. When you get a cold, when you get a virus, they're there to protect you. But when you have an autoimmune issue, even a very silent one like I did without a true diagnosis, it can wreak havoc, and especially with your fertility. One, it causes low egg quality because you have poor cellular health. But the other thing, if you're improving your cellular health, the other risk is an embryo is a foreign agent until the placenta takes over around week 12. So your body will be looking for these foreign agents in your body, and the egg is a foreign agent, but your body innately knows not to attack that if it's in homeostasis, if it's in, coherence and alignment. When it's not, it's like, nope, that thing needs to go. So we used immune suppressing drugs because, we're talking about 10, 15 years ago. Like the knowledge, just like you guys, 25 years ago, we just didn't have access to these things. But I still continued and digged a little bit deeper. And luckily, I found some information on autoimmune and gut health and how those are directly linked. And then I hyper-focused on using like bone broth and liver. I mean, at this time, there was no supplementations out there for gut health per se. And in combination of using immune suppressing drugs and my diet, I eventually did get pregnant. Unfortunately, the first one was a miscarriage, but that one for me it gave me hope. I finally saw the evidence that I needed that my body could actually do this. So we took a few months off to recover from that. It was a miscarriage, so it was a process to pass the baby. And then I got pregnant again, and that's my IVF baby who's almost 10 years old. So I continued my lifestyle, my new lifestyle. I just, obviously saw that there was proof in the results, and I wasn't going to go back to being sick again, because not only was this now about getting and staying pregnant, this was about like, hey, I'm an older mom. I was, 34, 35 when this all happened. So I want to be around for my kid. And so we continued on. We went back for our last remaining 2 embryos, did the same thing, super confident that this was going to work. We were going to have twins. We were going to have our dream family. And I got pregnant, but unfortunately miscarried. 2 months after that miscarriage, I got pregnant naturally at 36. And as obviously over the moon that I was, we're talking about an 8-year journey of a lot of hardships, a lot of false information, a lot of, medical stuff that I did not need to go through. And so I was pretty angry. I was angry that me, a layman, someone who, didn't really have a big interest in science and medical systems and all that, could figure out, 1 + 1 = 2. Cellular health is the gold standard of fertility, not your age, not your AMH, not your FSH, not these things that can move, can be changed, and epigenetics. Why isn't the fertility industry, this billion-dollar industry now, not empowering women to take control of their health? And just like you said in the beginning, because the ramifications is really our children's health. And so that's when I started to really dig into everything that I do now, and basically kind of found my purpose of like, I need to share this information because I don't think any woman who's willing to look this way should have to struggle as hard as I did.
Okay, so what are you acting as a nutritionist for women, or what's your role right now? What do you do?
So I am an energetic functional fertility health coach. I help women uncover the real root cause of their fertility struggles, especially when they feel like they are doing everything right, but still aren't seeing results. As a certified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner since 2015, I specialize in gut health and cellular healing, but I don't stop at the physical. I guide women to shift subconscious patterns, release emotional blocks, and upgrade their energetic frequency so their bodies can finally feel safe, supported, and ready to conceive. With the physical and energetic combination, we're able to fill in the gaps that conventional medicine often overlook. Because true fertility health isn't just about your hormones or timing, it's about healing from the inside out, physically, emotionally, and energetically. If I'm radically honest, that is one of the top things that everyone, no matter what your diagnosis is, that you need to focus on. Gut health, is the basis of almost every cellular health issue. And the other thing that I do that was really missing in my journey, and really what I focus on now, because the information is out there. You have great podcasts like this. People know about diet. They know about the lifestyle changes. A lot of my clients are trained in functional medicine. They know the stuff, but they're unable to really get through the patterns, the subconscious beliefs that are keeping them stuck in this cycle of always learning, always doing, always achieving. And the stress levels are so high that their perfect diet isn't working. Their supplementation isn't working. They've done all the tests and they're not seeing the success. And they're not really seeing, putting the 2 and 2, that we are physical, people. This is a physical world. We have to really maximize our diets, lower our toxin overloads, but we're also energy, our emotions, our energy that we're moving through the day with. That really matters to the physical as well. So I help women see the holes in their journey. When they're doing everything right, but they're still not seeing the success, that's where I come in. That's my gift of saying like, okay, you know this, but you're not applying it to your life, or you don't know this area. This is what we need to start focusing.
What is this? Like, what, if they're doing everything right, what does that mean? What are they doing and what are they not doing?
Yep. So a lot of women think they're doing everything right because they're following some guru's advice and they're not actually tapping into their intuition and using their discernment, especially with their diet. There's so many diets out there that everyone, preaches this is the best way. Well, if it's not working for you, if you're still having digestion issues, if you're still having mood issues, that diet is not right for you. So tuning into finding really basic, what are your food intolerances right now? And are you bringing in a wide enough variety to boost that gut microbiome, to allow your gut to heal? Stress, right? Everyone's like, well, I do acupuncture, I do yoga, I meditate. Okay, let's say you have 100 hours in a week and you do that for 5 hours of the week. Okay, what are you doing for the other 95 hours? How are you moving? Are you stressed out? Do you feel like you have to be go, 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 do? Well, that's going to be what you produce, not the 5 hours of the, relaxation or the meditation. Those are all beneficial and essential. But what a lot of people are missing is they are not seeing how they are moving through their day, minute by minute, checking their thoughts, checking their energy. How is their body feeling? And they consciously can say, well, I've done all my checklists. I'm doing all the right things, but why am I not seeing the right result?
Also, too, wanting to have a baby, it being on your mind constantly, and seeing other women that seem to effortlessly get pregnant or short it makes a woman stressed out. So it's like counterintuitive. How could you have a baby if you got to relax and literally like enjoy the process versus being freaked out or stressed out all the time?
Absolutely, Richard. I mean, that is the top thing, and it's the hardest thing. You compare yourself. You have expectations of how you thought your journey was going to go. You start feeling shame about your body because it's not doing what you thought, or see other women who maybe aren't even trying or as healthy as you are. And here's the thing. The hardest thing that you're going to have to really decide for yourself is that, are you going to live in that jealousy, in that comparison, in that expectation, in society's rules? And if you continue to pattern that way, that's what's going to produce your reality. And I'm not saying you can't get pregnant that way. You absolutely can. But going back to what we talked about with IVF, you are going to bring those same patterns into your pregnancy and into motherhood. And as much as you think the baby is going to erase all of that and just bring you ultimate joy, I think as parents, we both know that that's not true. Yes, the joy is there. Yes, the love's there. But yes, parenting is one of the hardest jobs you'll ever do. And it's hard. I know in my reality, I thought I was going to be Mary Poppins. I have 20 years of early education behind me. I was going to be the Pinterest mom, but I didn't realize that I was running the same patterns of my worth comes from doing. And I started noticing that I couldn't even play with my kids without thinking, well, I have to do the laundry, I have to do the dishes, this has to be perfect. And I brought that same type A tendency that worked for me in the future or in the past, but just wasn't working for me now.
Okay, so what does a typical client relationship look like? They come to you, do an analysis, biomarker testing, or how does it work?
Yeah, so it depends on where you're at. If you have done all the physical stuff, if you've done the gut health stuff and you've done all that, you feel like you're on the right path. We just work on the subconscious. We work on the patterns. We work on your emotions and your energy around fertility, around the failed IVF treatments, and then what got you there in the first place, right? I always say we pattern the same way in a fertility journey as we were before fertility even became an issue for us. If a client has not done any of that work, the top two things I look at, I want to know why. Yes, Dutch test is great. A great thyroid panel is great, but that doesn't really give me the reasons why it's happening. So a gut health test, obviously, hands down, can show me what's going on in the gut microbiome that you need to heavily focus on. What foods can we bring in? What foods are going to boost the microbiome that you're missing? What functions are, sluggish in the gut? And then a food sensitivity test, so we don't have to guess. It took me a long time to get where I was because during my time, I didn't have access to a high quality food sensitivity test that was just going to show me what I was intolerant to at the moment, because that's what matters. And so you could just really dial in and be like, okay, I know what I can eat. I know what I need to bring in. I know what I need to avoid. And if you can do that consistently, not perfectly, you will start healing your gut really quickly because your gut doesn't have to deal with that type of BS. During the physical stuff, we are working on the mental and emotional stuff, the grief, the loss, the heartache, the identity. A lot of people are attached to the identity of like, well, if I'm not trying to fix something, who am I? Right? We kind of feed off of that. Like, I need the next answer. I need the next answer. And so for a lot of us, we feel unsafe to just go, okay, this is my plan. I feel really good with it. I'm going to stick to it for 3 months, which feels like a life sentence when you're dealing with fertility issues. And you're also training your nervous system to slow down and feel that safety in the mundane.
Well, instead of saying 3 months, what if you make a 1-year program? We get 3 months of prep and then 9 months of continuing to eat and support our gut health and all that stuff all the way through to baby at the end, 1 year.
Absolutely.
Maybe you recast it that way. I don't know,
Well, ask your wife how it would feel in the thick of this journey if I told you to wait 1 year. Most women wouldn't work with me. And when they start working with me, within a month, within 2 months, they start to realize like, hey, actually, you're right. I'm going to have to slow down, aren't I? I said, look, you can do whatever you want. I'm going to give you my advice, but this is your journey. You're going to show up the way you want to show up. But I will tell you, with experience, with life experience, and with working with women for over 5 years, if you slow down 3 to 6 months, a year, you will actually make your journey shorter because you're not dealing with the fallout of your body having to detox all the IVF meds that didn't work, a miscarriage, a D&C. That takes a lot of time to recover from. And it breaks my heart when I have clients who the medical system has pushed them again and again. Like I have a client right now, actually, who just had a D&C. Her fertility clinic called her and said, okay, you got your period, but you need to wait 1 more. But right after that period, we can start again. And I had to, deliver the hard news to her. I said, look, you can do it. But I'm telling you right now, what we're doing together, it doesn't have enough time to impact your cellular health. It needs time. You took decades to get here. 6 months to a year in the grand scheme of things is nothing. But the mindset that these women are, and I understand it, that just feels like too long. They've already, their expectations were already destroyed. So it's really meeting them where they're at and following them. But I agree with you. Yeah, if you take 6 months to a year, and most of my clients will get pregnant naturally. As you know, you fix that cellular health, you fix that body. Your fertility is innate. You do not need to tell it what to do. Now, some people do need IVF. Some people do need that medical assistance. And I'm honest when I personally feel like, hey, that would benefit you. But before you jump into that stuff, let's take some time to increase your chances.
Yeah, and the DNC is not a nice thing at all. Very hard thing. It's heartbreaking. It comes at the end of, the pregnancy is not going to be viable. Now you have to go through this horrible surgery. And what do you get as a benefit at the end? You're just back to square one. So it was very hard emotionally. Like a miscarriage is not just like a statement, a miscarriage, but when I saw directly with my wife, they're very traumatic events, emotionally, physically, and your body keeps getting beaten up, and the medical associations are just like, just keep doing it, and it's terrible. So it's not like, I just do this, that, and the other, and you're fine. Like, I can't imagine that a woman's body would be in good shape at all, a few weeks after a DNC or after a miscarriage. Like, you need time, to heal in all ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially emotionally. I think that us type A women, we're strong. We can do it. We just push through anything. It's that kind of big girls don't cry type of, mentality. And the truth is you lost your baby, and no matter how far along you were, that you bonded with it. And so taking that time and letting yourself grieve emotionally will help the physical. They're not separate. The emotional and the physical just aren't separate. And some people have a harder journey, right? Like my journey was very physical. Fix my gut health, get pregnant naturally. Yes, I had to slow down and do some mindset stuff, but the stuff I'm working with women now, the emotional and the subconscious and the nervous system, that's their greatest thing. They're like, yep, I got the physical. Now I just need to get this in alignment. And the hardest part for most people is to surrender. And unfortunately, you have to hit that rock bottom and that realization like, hey, what I'm doing isn't working. So I have to try something different. And that something different can feel unsafe. It can feel like you're doing nothing. It feels like you're giving up. But that's really what fertility is all about. It is about surrendering and creation. And it's hard to create when you're just go, go, go. And yeah, stop comparing yourself to the women who seem to have it easier. You know, I tell my clients, and I shouldn't say this out loud, but I don't have one friend that got pregnant easily that hasn't hit rock bottom in motherhood or in their life. We all get there eventually when we are ignoring our body's cries of like, hey, slow down, stop eating this way, whatever it is, deal with the past. Where your fertility journey, if you choose to, define it this way, is your chance to really figure out some things so you can change and break those generational patterns, do better, have better cellular health. We all know that our children's health is an epidemic in America and beyond. If someone says to me, oh, no, it's not, I'm like, well, you're not in the school, right? I've pulled my kids out of school. They were going to a really nice school and they had my eldest had 7 kids in his class with special needs. And I did early education. I did special needs. I have the biggest heart for all that, but no teacher is equipped to teach 27 kids with 7 kids who are on medication, have mental emotional needs.
Or 27 kids that all have like those AEP plans. This one gets anxious. This one is OCD. This one is autism. This one is, it's like rampant.
It's crazy. Yeah. And there's no blame. There's no shame, but it's about taking radical responsibility. And us as mothers, as the creators, as the one who have this gift, it's our responsibility. And until enough of us really step up and change, the system, stand up for ourselves in the doctor's office, in these fertility clinics, which half of them, I don't think they're lying because they're mean people. I think they've just been taught junky 80 science and they're just, frightening these women like, well, the number of candles on your birthday cake matter more than your cellular health. So you better do IVF yesterday or you're not going to have a chance. And it's just, can we bring common sense back? Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, no, I understand. So what you work with people in the U.S. or just in your state? Like if someone's interested in getting help from you, besides how they would get in contact, which we'll get to in a minute, where do you help people at?
I'm international, so I'm all online. I can do everything that needs to be done online. So I've had clients in New Zealand, in the UK, in Europe, obviously America, a lot of Canadian clients. So happy to serve the world.
Yeah, that's great. And for women that want to get in touch, how can they?
Yeah. So for a special, if you've made it to the end of this podcast, I would love to offer a free fertility breakthrough session. It's exactly what I do with my paying clients. I spend some time with you, get to know your story, get to know where you are physically and emotionally, mentally, and I show you the holes in your journey, where you have overlooked, even if you have the knowledge, where you're actually not applying the knowledge, and just help you get back on track, get, more than hope, get some evidence that this is possible. So the best way to do that is just to email me, or you can DM me on any social media with the word dreams, and I'll get you that information and that link. And for anyone else who wants to share the information, I'm finding fertility everywhere on the internet, from my podcast, social media to website.
Oh, finding fertility?
Yes.
So you go from finding genius to finding fertility.
Right.
So they're needed. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Right on. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for the work that you do. You're doing a very good thing to help people. Yep.
Yeah. So as are you, Richard. Thank you so much. I noticed that you are almost at 2,000 episodes for this podcast, and for
It's actually 4,000, but yeah.
Is it? Is it a different podcast from the Finding Genius one on the Apple Play?
Yeah, it used to be called Future Tech, and then we changed the name and everything. But yeah, so it's like over 4,000 now. Yeah.
Oh my God! I was blown away by 2,000. So I'm really blown away by 4,000. So congratulations on that. That's just amazing.
Yeah, no worries.
If you like this podcast, please click the link in the description to subscribe and review us on iTunes.
You've been listening to the Finding Genius podcast with Richard Jacobs. If you like what you hear, be sure to review and subscribe to the Finding Genius podcast on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts. And want to be smarter than everybody else? Become a premium member at findinggeniuspodcast.com. This podcast is for information only. No advice of any kind is being given. Any action you take or don't take as a result of listening is your sole responsibility. Consult professionals when advice is needed.